Feliz Navidad, everyone! I know it's Christmas season and everybody's probably taking pictures and filming themselves by their trees, but today is December 4th, I think. I don't have any decorating up yet. It's hard to carve out the time for it, and we don't put a tree up in our living room until maybe about 2.5 weeks before Christmas, because we heat primarily with a wood stove and the trees just dry out so fast. And once they're dry, then the farm boy says, "That's it, it's out of here." And I want to enjoy the twinkly bright lights for another week after Christmas. You know, just kind of let myself down gently from all of the festivities of the season, because I feel like, you know, there's all this build up to Christmas, and it's this wonderful time of being together with family, and you know, just the music and everything is, I love it. And then to just rip it all out the day after Christmas just feels like, ugh, I'm being stabbed in the heart. So, but by the time New Year's Day rolls around, I'm ready for a fresh, clean slate. I want to look at the brand new year. So it's about that week in between Christmas Day and New Year's where I'm like, okay, letting myself down gently, and then I can take the tree out. So anyway, I thought to make up for the fact that I wasn't filming in front of my lovely Christmas tree that we grew in our front yard, I thought instead I would film in my office. Yep. That's all. I've stitched all of that stuff behind me. I think they're all my designs. Some of them, I think there's a few that might be, I'm looking on the screen to see what's showing. There might be one up there, I think. That might be an antique reproduction. No, it's not. It's one of my designs. Anyway, that'll help you keep your mind off of the fact that it's not Christmassy all up in here. But yeah, you might not get to see a Christmas video this year. Because here's the deal. Once my kids are out of school for the winter break, which I think their last day is the 21st this year, I'm going to be closing down my Etsy shop for the rest of the year, just to take some time off, enjoy being with them. My son's birthday is the week before Christmas, and my daughter's birthday is 2 weeks after Christmas, and well, my shop will be opened up again by the time her birthday rolls around, but I just like to take a couple weeks off, and I will still be available for sending orders to shops and distributors. I'm just going to close my Etsy shop down. So I'm going to release my December designs. I have two that will wrap up 2018, which has been a spectacular year. Thank you so much for all of your support and encouragement. The emails, the comments, the orders, I feel so blessed to be able to get to bring designs to you, and that you choose mine amongst all of the other amazing designs that are available in the cross-stitching world right now. Just knocks my socks off. And I can't say thank you enough. You've made it possible for me to be able to express my creativity and get rewarded for it. If this business venture had never taken off, if I found out I wasn't any good at it, if people didn't like my designs, I would probably be just plugging away doing some job that may or may not take me out of my home. But I'm very blessed and fortunate that I get to do something that I love and that I've been able to turn my hobby into a business. And I don't ever look at any new year with expectations that this year is going to follow suit from the last year. I take every year as it comes, and if the designs I keep putting out keep getting received, it just feels like a happy little surprise every time. So, thank you. I will stop rambling now. I don't think I really showed you my, I don't know why, Feliz Navidad was always one of my favorite, oh that startled me, a leaf just rattled by on the roof. Feliz Navidad and Melikilikimaka were both two of my favorite Christmas songs growing up as a kid, I think because they sounded so exotic to me. And I saw this at Hobby Lobby this year, and I saw it when it was like 60% off, so y'all, this is like a $3 mug. $3 of Feliz Navidad that I get to enjoy for the next month. So, I think what I'm going to do first, cold coffee. I don't think I ever got to show you my mistletoe tinsel and jingle boxes live on video because when I released them they were traveling, and when I did my tutorial they were still traveling, but they're home now. All of my babies are home. This wall had big holes in it from having 2 trunk shows out, and it was so nice to just fill all of the spots back in, and they're not going to travel again until January. So at least for the next month I get to have all of my babies home with me. Anyway, this is what the boxes look like in my hands, just so you can see. If you are interested in stitching these or in attaching any of your needlework to a paper mache box, I have a tutorial on my channel now that is a live demonstration of how to do that. So it's fabric inside and out of the base, and then the needlework is applied to the lid. And the Tinsel and Jingles box is so fun because it makes noise. I found some tinsel garland that I put around the outside in place of like a chenille or a rickrack, and I found these rusty jingle bells, and I basically just held out my, and this is not in the tutorial because I didn't have the foresight to do that, I'm sorry. I basically just took my length of tinsel and a long thread, and I just went around the tinsel with my needle and thread, and every so often I just put a bell on there. And it was just really loosely attached because I knew that I would ultimately be gluing it in place. So you could do the same thing and create a fun garland for your tree or for your mantle, but you might want to knot your thread as you go around your tinsel and attach your bells. The inside of this box has a divider. I'm going to dump jingle bells everywhere. And it's basically just a piece of foam core. I measured the length across the box, and then I cut a piece of foam core and I just glued fabric on it. I left little flaps of fabric at the end. I don't know if you can see that in the video. All the way up and down on both sides and along the bottom, which I then glued into the box. So, I don't know, holler at me if you want a better tutorial. There are directions that come with the pattern, but they're typed directions. And the tutorial covers how to cut, measure, and adhere the fabric to both lid and base. Anyway, I thought you might want to see those for some size perspective. What am I going to show you next? Oh, I need to swoop out of the camera view real quick. This is just a little something. There is not a pattern available for this, although if enough of you holler, I'm considering putting it out maybe for the next holiday season. I have a friend, and she works for me from time to time. She and her husband are youth pastors at our church, and I've known them for a couple years now, and through the whole process of wanting to start a family, they had a little bit of infertility issues. Not really. It wasn't really infertility. It just took them like 5 or 6 months to get pregnant. But it was the emotional monthly up and downs. Well, they have a baby now who she'll be 1 next summer. So it's her first Christmas, and it's very exciting for them. They're, you know, young 20-somethings. And anyway, she's been working for me doing folding and stuffing of charts as time allows for her. And she was over at my house a couple weeks ago, and she said, you know, I was looking at one of those little patterns with all the little things. She couldn't remember what they were called. And I was thinking, maybe you might want to make an ornament for our baby for her first Christmas present. And she loves elephants, and so the baby's nursery is all elephants. And so she's not a stitcher. She's tried it a little bit, but it's not like she wanted a pattern so she could do it herself. She wanted me to make it. And I was like, okay, I can do this. So in like an hour, I had this ornament designed, and probably took me 5 or 6 hours to stitch it. Probably, because I stitched front and back. And then maybe an hour to assemble it, because I've gotten pretty good at assembling small little ornament fobby things this year. More about that later. So anyway, without further ado, this is my most recent finish. On the back it says, baby's first Christmas elephant. And this little elephant, she's got holly behind her ear, and she's holding a little bell in her trunk. It's got 2018 tiny little over 1. Anyway, that's the first time in a really long time I have cross-stitched something as a gift for somebody else. Because I don't know very many people who, in my direct life, who are cross-stitchers. And I learned a long time ago that if I'm going to put that much time and work into something, it has to be for somebody who's going to appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, they might think it's nice and lovely and appreciate it because they know you made it and all of that, but they don't really know. And then, you know, it'll eventually disappear off the wall or from wherever because it's just this homemade thing that they're tired of. But stitchers, they see it, I think, through cross-stitch colored glasses. We value it so much more. So this I know that she will value because it was a special request and made by me, and hopefully her little girl will treasure it for years to come. And I've thought about possibly coming up with a baby's second Christmas elephant. We'll see. I don't know. That idea might fizzle out. How many different iterations of a Christmas elephant can you make? Probably a dozen. I don't know. We'll see. They could be like, who knows? I'm not going to plan out loud right now. So there's that. If you love it, I think people who like elephants would go crazy over this, and the rest of the world would be like, huh? So that's why at this point I have no plans to release it. Holler at me if you love it. And if enough of you holler at me, then I'll think about it. What's next? I didn't plan a whole lot to talk about today because I've got a lot of things to get done. And I just had a small window of time to fit this video in, and I'm just now realizing there are a couple other things I wanted to talk about and I'm not prepared. So I'll either tack them on at the end as an add-on video, or I'll just save them for the next one. So probably what I should show you next are my new releases. I've been waiting for both of these for a really long time. So when I started, we'll talk about the Fob series first. When I started the year, my computer had crashed. I thought I had lost all of my designs that I had planned for the year because it was, the Geek Squad said that my computer was possibly not retrievable. It just was this fatal, sudden crash. And I am typically very good at keeping my computer backed up. But at that point in time, without realizing it, it had been 4 months since I backed up. And I had several designs I had created during that time. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I need something quick and simple to keep up with my goal is always a new release every month. Sometimes I do more than one. Sometimes I'll skip a month if I have a retreat or a club piece. So to the world it doesn't look like it, but every month from my calendar perspective, there's something new coming out. I've had conversations with shop owners who tell me that it's either feast or famine in the designing world, where they go to market in March and so many designers are there, and so many designers are saving their favorite best designs for that release window, and they'll just flood the market with all these great designs, but the shops can't support that many new designs, so they either have to pick and choose, and there are designs that maybe would have been a huge hit if they weren't surrounded by so many others. So it's difficult. And so they appreciate when there are releases happening, not just during those big release periods. Initially, when I made the decision to release something new every month, it was because I knew I was a tiny little fish in a very big sea and had very little to show for myself, and I wanted to build a portfolio as quickly as possible, and I felt like monthly I could handle. It also gives me a little bit of regularity to the cycle of income. It makes it more practical for me to be able to plan things. My income basically supports the extras in our family. And so, say we wanted to go spend a weekend at the Oregon coast. I know if I've got a somewhat consistent income coming in monthly, that I could book that planet, pay for it, and I don't have to wonder, am I going to be able to actually cover that? Does that make sense? So anyway, back to the Fob series. I came up with this idea. I sat down, I'm looking at the calendar year, I'm thinking, oh, I could easily come up with a theme for each month. This final one was one of the first that I thought of, but it's not really seasonal per se. It's an all year round obsession. And so I decided to put it, excuse me, I'm going to clear my throat. I decided to put it at the very end of the series, sort of as my reward. Maybe your reward. We'll see. I'm going to eliminate some of you from this fob collection just because I know you're not obsessed like I am. Have I given enough hints? Have you figured it out yet? All right. So, y'all know that I've got a few series going on. I've got coverlets. Are any of them showing? There's one of them right there. The Let It Snow. I've got a whole series on that are inspired by American coverlets. I've got a heritage series, sort of. This is one of them. My great-grandmother's sort of memorial type. I have one that's a baby sampler that's at my sister's house. What other series do I have? I've started a stocking series, which there have been no new this year, but I have 3 stockings, and I plan to add to that collection next year. Started the Fob series. I have my Magical Elixir series, which is the coffee series, which brings us around to today. Yes, the number 12 Festive Little Fob set is coffee. So technically this one falls into the, or officially falls into the Fob series, but it sort of links up with my Magical Elixir series. I used similar colors. So here's the cover. Eee. Shadowing my face. Festive Little Fobs, the coffee edition. And now I will show you the fobs. Here we have a coffee bean tree, already roasted. We have a coffee cup tree. All of the little mugs are steaming. It's a little hard to see, but there's, can you imagine, walk out in your yard, pick off a steaming cup of coffee every morning? That would be amazing. I made a little mini pin drum out of a coffee cup, and that again has steam if you can't see it. So here are, these two are matching. Karen stitched this series for me, and she stitched this one as charted with her initials, and then she coffee dyed a little piece of fabric and stitched it with my initials. So you can sort of see, hopefully the lighting is picking it up, how the steam shows up a little better if you use a linen that's a little bit darker. I have coffee beans on the back. We have a little wreath of steaming coffee cups. Latte. That's about the only fancy drink fancy coffee drink is a latte. No sweetener, just, or a cappuccino. I don't very often get a sweet coffee drink. This one is a little steaming coffee cup in the middle, surrounded by a wreath of coffee tree branches. So my husband said, "Why did you put a holly wreath around a coffee cup?" I said, "It's not holly. It's coffee berries." It's like, "Well, they look like, it looks like holly." I know. What can you do? Little red cherries and green leaves. It's, anyway. We have, now this one, I didn't specifically chart this way. The little red cup with the steam is a little extra on the chart, and then it comes with a full alphabet, and Karen decided to stitch a little tiny cuppa underneath it, and she was like, she intended it to go on the back of another one. No, it needed to be a fob all by itself. But it just demonstrates what you can do with a little bit of creativity. I just love that. And then Java. We have a decanter of dark roast, and it says coffee underneath. This one is charted in the chart. No coffee bean fabric on the back. We have an old-fashioned coffee grinder. I have one of these, and it's actually a functional part of my life, because in the wintertime, power goes out, still got to drink coffee, and we grind ours before we brew it. We don't buy it pre-ground, so the kids love it when the power goes out because they get to grind my coffee. And then on the back I have chemical makeup. It's fabric that has coffee chemistry, or is it might not be coffee, it might be caffeine. That's the chemical, what do you call that? Chemical diagram? Formula? I know, I should know the word. It's not coming to me right now. I'm so sorry. This one, last but not least, this is my favorite one. I have coffee on the back. Some of these fabrics I found on Spoonflower. If you go to Spoonflower, it's a little expensive. I don't love the quality of the fabric. It's a little bit coarse because I just get the basic fabric. But there's some really great prints for little things like this. And then on the front, it's a wreath of decanters and French presses and little coffee cherries. So that is it. And now, do you want to see something amazing? Big dough bowl full of fobs. I'm going to insert a picture here. That's all of them. I laid them all out on the floor. It was so much fun. They're grouped, they're sort of grouped by series. So, you know, if you were to examine the picture, you could kind of see the little sections together, and then along one side is the newest one. But 116 fobs, if I counted right. That's a lot of finishing for somebody who's never really made fobs before. I've made a few, but I think I can consider myself an expert now, at least in my way of doing it. So I'm going to throw the coffee fobs in here. There they are, 116 scissor fobs. Oh, they're all going to fall out. I just want to do this. Oh, now I messed them all up. So these are probably just going to travel with me for a little while, at least to market. Because they're tiny, I don't love sending them out to trunk shows because they need to be in a case somewhere, because little tiny things tend to walk away, either accidentally or because somebody just can't keep their fingers off of them. And I hear stories. I know it happens. It's even happened at the Nashville Needlework Market, somewhere where you wouldn't think it would. But it does. So I will never just send out all 116 of them to a needlework shop. Not to mention, it would be difficult to display them. So they're going to all travel with me to Nashville, where they will be secured very well. And after that, I'm going to choose a few to keep for myself. And then my lovely ladies, Natalie and Karen, thank you so much. It was an exhausting series to get through. Every month when I had to finish 9 or 10 more fobs, I just kind of dragged my feet, even more so towards the end. And you ladies doing the stitching for me made the series possible, really and truly. And I think Natalie was the one that both times I was way behind schedule really jumped into the rescue. So I appreciate you two very much. And any of you in Flosstube land that knows these ladies and likes this series, you should tell them thank you as well. So Anyway, our agreement, I did not pay them for their stitching. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, and it depends on the design. If I don't pay them financially, then the agreement is that when I'm done with the models, then they get the models and they get them fully finished or framed or in whatever method I released the design. So at some point in spring or early summer, those two ladies are going to get a package of a whole bunch of fobs in the mail, and then they have to decide what they're going to do with them. So anyway, that is that. Release number 2 for December, and my final release for the year, is another continuation of a series, my alphabet series. But it also happens to tie in with the Magical Elixir series. Yep, you guessed it. C is for coffee. So hopefully that shows up really well on your screen. I don't love stitching on really dark linen. This is Picture This Plus gingerbread in 32 count. But I wanted the lettering to be the steam. So we have the C is for coffee. And then coffee cup, dark roast again, surrounded by a wreath of coffee berries. So this alphabet series I designed to fit this frame. It's by a company called Signed and Numbered. You can find them on Etsy, and it's a 6-inch circle opening frame. All of the information is in the charts of the series. I now have, is this my 8th one? Yes, this is the 8th one I've released. They're not in order. I have A is for acorn, B is for beekeeper, C is for coffee. They're up on the wall. I have to look. H is for holly, M is for mermaid, O is for old glory, P is for pomegranate, and V is for Valentine. And I have plans for many more of the letters, but they're going to be released just a couple at a time, or a couple per year as I'm inspired to do it and I have space in my schedule. So it could be 10 more years before I'm done with the series, because there's what, 26, is it 26 letters in the alphabet? Yeah. So anyway, C is for coffee and the coffee fobs. Those are my 2 final releases for 2018. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for just being you and being amazing. And I hope that your Christmas season, I know it's really hard for some people. The older I get, the more sadness kind of leaks into the festivities of Christmas, because there are people that are gone from my life permanently that I miss. And it seems like, you know, the older I get, the more people are then missing from my life, either because they've moved away or because they are deceased. And I know that it's a difficult time for many of you out there, and I just want you to hear from me. Hang in there. You are not alone. This world is always going to be full of hard times, but in equal measure there is joy. And I hope that you find joy and peace this holiday season. And reach out and be a friend to people, strangers. And people are dealing with stuff and they're stressed. They might be exceedingly joyful. I don't know. But be a light in your little corner of the world. And happy stitching. I'll see you guys in January. This is how you rake the leaves in the country. Yep. Show off. There's a chance there's bourbon in his glass. Note the lawnmower pattern through the thick bed of leaves that used to be in the yard. Who needs a rake when you have a John Deere? All of the chopped up leaves go on the compost pile, and then in the spring they get tilled into the garden. Makes for some really great rich soil. That's all. Kitty. Kitty, kitty. It's a video now.
Oh, okay.
You're just smiling, waiting for me to take your picture.
No, what's that?
Arch,
Yeah.
8,
Okay, so now say it all again.
Archington.
The whole thing.
Wendy's 8, Comarchington.
Wendy's
Wendy's 8, Comarchington. Unique waters for these lots.
Oh.
Unique waters for these lots. Unique waters for these lots? For these lots? Unique waters for these lots. For these lots.
Say it fast. Just keep saying it again.
Unique waters for these lots. For these lots.
Say the whole thing.
Unique waters for these lots.
You need, keep saying it fast.
Unique waters for these lots.
Unique fathers.
For these laws. Unique fathers for these laws. Lots. Unique waters for these laws. Lots. For these lots.
You need.
Unique waters for these lots.
Exactly. That's, you got it. Just, unique waters for these lots? Yes. Yes. You need waters for these quads.
Unique waters for these quads. What?
Enunciate.
Unique waters for these lots.
Okay, girls, 10 seconds.
I don't have it.
Oh my word, I actually had something run through my brain like that.
You need water, No.
You need quarters for the slots.
That's unique, not you need.
Unique quarters. Unique
Unique
quarters.
quarters.
Unique waters.
Unique
Unique
quarters.
quarters. Unique quarters. Unique quarters.
Unique
Unique quarters for the slots. Unique quarters for the slots.
That's how they came up with this
You
game.
did.
It was
You-
a bunch
you-
of people from New Jersey.
Yeah.